Hey everybody, Felix Staffelbaker here. I just wanted to make a video about EOS and why I believe that 99% of people won't buy EOS but will use EOS. So I predict that EOS is basically like the next Google, the next decentralized Web 3.0, the all-encompassing blockchain, basically. So one thing that I looked at when I was trying to first invest was who in the traditional markets would be investing in something like this, because surely those people would have been notified ahead of time. The big players, the people who always have the money, they always get, first dibs basically. So there's people like Alan Howard, Peter Thiel, Louis Bacon, and of course Mike Novogratz. All of these people have been early investors in Block One, the company that created the EOS software. A couple of them, like Peter Thiel and I believe Mike Novogratz, and then others to follow, have actually sold some of their stock to be able to rotate out new big players coming into the Block One space. This happened with Google. This happened with a lot of the big companies early on that are now multi-billion-dollar companies and, top 25, not top 500 companies in the world. And so, these are opportunities that they're taking a look at. I feel like I should be taking a look at too, but that's not what they're preaching in the main crypto space. So with these people getting involved, I'm at least willing to take a look at what they're doing. There's also something I find is constant bashing of EOS on crypto Twitter, YouTube, pretty much anywhere, Reddit, pretty much anywhere that there's crypto going on. People are bashing EOS for being centralized or this or that, and it's just ridiculous because not only is it the most decentralized cryptocurrency, but I'm not going to go into the technical aspects because that's not what this video is about, but basically there's half millisecond block times. There's 21 main block producers actually in the rotation, and every 3 seconds they rotate. They're doing half-second blocks, and there's hundreds of standby block producers. They're all voted on. I'm not going to go into the whole situation right now, but basically EOS is always being bashed. Meanwhile, they're the only blockchain I'm aware of that has their company building headquarters. Actually, in America, they have a headquarters going up right outside of DC in Blacksburg, Virginia, I believe. So they're the only ones making serious moves, and a lot of people aren't taking that seriously. Another thing I always hear people bashing EOS about is that it's just like all the other ICOs. It's a scam coin, all these things, and especially with the SEC coming down with all these regulations, that basically they're going to shut all ICOs down. Well, that's not going to happen with EOS, because when they set up their ICO, it was registered in the Cayman Islands, and they released open source software. So this isn't something that only Block One has and they're keeping to themselves and they have all this money. No, they literally raised the money from this ICO and then converted it into realized gains, capital, via US Treasuries, Bitcoin, other venture funds that they set up. So all that money is being used immediately, whereas all the other projects either exit scammed or let their token bleed out so hard that now none of those projects have any capital to actually do further development of their project. And that's a big deal. No one wants to talk about that, but I have a feeling as soon as EOS scales the entire crypto space, I'm assuming, once this 1.8 upgrade goes into effect on the 23rd of September, that, we'll see a lot of these ICOs that weren't building during the bear market and in fact exit scamming. We'll see that become evident when everything is scaled and they're required to show their work. So that's where that was going. Sorry for the ranting about that. Another thing that I find really interesting that leads me to believe that 99% of people won't be investing in EOS is something like liquid accounts, or taking, for instance, the challenge application. The way that their accounts are set up is actually everything is under the account challenge you, and then you have a sub account under that that is your actual username. So basically it's a secondary account, and you're not actually holding the EOS or having to hold the EOS token to be able to use the resources associated with that. And then also with the upgrade of 1.8, it will allow for developers to issue resources to accounts, so they'll be able to take care of everything. I just think that this will further allow for more people to be able to use EOS in a seamless way. It's like setting up a basic username and password, and then you have a EOS account and you're using it on the blockchain, and everything's all on chain. It's crazy. So that's going to be one of the ways that I really think it's scaled, is by these sub accounts, and using things like VRAM that liquid accounts created, and all those types of tools that are all being used. And another thing that not a lot of people are talking about is that could be an Amazon solution for EOS. When EOS scales all of crypto, I mean, we could see just your username and password to get onto your Amazon account could be your EOS linked blockchain account, tied from Amazon to that. Most people wouldn't know, but if you held the EOS token and were an investor, you would see that appreciation 100%. You would definitely see that appreciation. And another thing with Amazon already having all of their data on their platform, if they hop onto EOS, I mean, everything would be on chain, and that would be a massive adoption. So I think that for a lot of these reasons, people aren't taking EOS seriously, and they're not even really paying attention to it, but it's going to bite them real quick. And I think that we're right on the launch pad, and things are looking real nice. So if you're on the EOS train and ready for this thing to really make its move, you're in the right spot. And I mean, there's nothing anybody can really say to waver what I'm thinking that this is going to do. Even if we come against some roadblocks here in the near future, or it may seem like there's some sort of barricades coming up for this whole thing. I mean, you got to take into account that Pandora's Box has been opened, and no matter what anybody does, as long as there's one computer running the blockchain, it'll always be running, and you can always replicate it again back to its size. Network effects. So I mean, with EOS being 50 million transactions a day, you can go to blocktivity.info. You can look and see EOS is by far the most used blockchain as far as transactions go. They're just absolute blistering transactions, and that's one of the things that's going to propel it to the top, is having the ability to already have all these transactions that people aren't taking seriously. So I would take a look at EOS. Nobody can get me down from where I think it's going to go. And I believe it's got such a high potential that, I mean, there's just no reason not to be in this. So if you're looking at the top spot, you should be in EOS. And we'll see you next time. Stoffel Baker out.